Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys some tips and tricks for RuneScape 3. So hopefully some of these tips and tricks you guys will be able to use while you're playing, and hopefully you'll be able to learn something. I do have a lot of different ones varying between low level and high level players, so hopefully you'll find some that are useful for you. Anyway, let's begin the video. So starting off with tip number 1, we have noted decants. So I'm sure all you guys know you can decant potions. So if you have 2 dose 2 potions, you can turn it into a dose 4. But what a lot of people don't know is you can actually note the 2 dose potions or whatever and actually decant them that way. That way you'll be able to save a lot of time and you'll be much more efficient when decanting your potions. And tip number 2 is about the revolution bar size. So you can actually change this by going into your settings, under combat, and then under combat mode, so you can increase it or decrease it. Essentially what this means is when you are in the revolution combat style, those are the abilities that will be able to activate automatically, so you can increase or decrease that range of abilities. And so tip number 3 is action bar binds, and what this is, you can actually bind a specific action bar to a specific weapon that you are using. So for example, I can bind the action bar 4 for my dual wield. So if I equipped dual wield weapons, it will go straight to my action bar 4. This is really useful for people who are doing lots of switches in combat. So it is a pretty useful tip for players who are doing some high level PVM. And for tip number 4, it's essentially just an ability, which is Tuska's Wrath. And you get this ability by completing the Anima Islands D&D. You do require 4,000 points to buy this, and this usually takes a few hours to buy. It is a really great ability, especially when you are training Slayer. So while you are doing a Slayer task, it will deal 10,000% of your Slayer level as damage. So what this means, if you have a 100 Slayer level, it will deal 10,000 damage. This essentially always makes it the best ability to use when on a Slayer task. And tip number 5 is the Slayer masks. So there are a lot of different Slayer masks in the game. As you can see, all of the masks in my inventory are for different creatures. And essentially what this tip is, you can actually wear a Slayer mask and you can talk to your Slayer master if you don't have a task already, and it'll actually give you that task if you want it. So that is pretty useful if you have some good masks like the Abyssal Demon mask. You can get an Abyssal Demon task. Now it does have a cooldown of every 3 days, so you can only do it once every 3 days, but it is a pretty useful thing to have, especially if you have some good masks for some good and AFK tasks. Essentially, it just allows you to pick your own Slayer task, which obviously makes Slayer much better. And tip number 6 is the drag and drop function. Also, you can put an item on your action bars, so certain ones like raw fish, you can put it on and then click the keybind and it should drop it. Also, you can just drag items on the ground and you'll drop them as well. So just a pretty useful feature to actually know about. And tip number 7 is extreme invention potions. This is actually a really useful tip. So essentially what it is, you can use extreme invention potions to boost your invention level. And to do this, you'll need a super invention potion and the mycelial webbing, and combining those, you'll be able to make the extreme invention potion. This does require 95 herblore, so some pretty high requirements there, but it will boost your invention level 17 levels for the duration of 6 minutes. And essentially what this does, it will allow you to discover many new invention things that you actually can't do at your current level. So for example, I could actually make the High Alchemizer MK2 17 levels before I actually unlocked it, so it is pretty useful for things like that. Definitely something you guys should check out. Also, if you don't have 95 herblore, you can just use the regular super invention potion, although it only boosts you 5 levels instead of 17. And tip number 8 is more for maxed players, so it's setting your arrival point at the boss portals. So for example, my boss portal goes to Nex, and I can choose to go to the kill count room or the room just at the bank at Nex. And obviously you want to be at the bank because it's closer to Nex, so that is a pretty useful thing to do. You'll save some time in between your next trips, and it does work for some other bosses as well. Tip number 9 is setting your arrival points at the max guild. You can do this by talking to Ellen Anterth, and here just select the 4th option, and she will allow you to change the spot where you teleport to the max guild. So when you first unlock the max guild, you'll teleport outside the gate, but if you do talk to her and toggle this on, you can teleport straight next to the bank. Tip number 10 is just extending your daily challenges. This is something that is really useful for certain daily challenges like daily dungeoneering. So what this will do, it will turn it into 1 dungeon into 2, and you'll actually get double the experience from it as well. So that is why it is so great to do. I know when I was training dungeoneering, I used this a lot because I would get the daily dungeoneering task every day, and by extending it and doing it every day, I'd get around 200,000 XP per day, which really did add up and helped me on my way to 99 dungeoneering. So definitely make sure you extend some tasks where you are looking to get lots of XP and train that skill. Tip number 11 is your Combat Academy XP books. So this is a pretty weird one. I actually recently figured this one out. So you can actually talk to Lady Deathnell near the Combat Academy and ask about the rewards. So you may have to complete some of these basic training things, which are really simple and you may have even done already. And essentially when you do complete them, you get a ton of reward books, and it accounts for hundreds of thousands of combat XP. So if you guys haven't collected these rewards, definitely do it. It can go into prayer as well, which is really, really nice. And so tip number 12 is converting your D&D tokens. So you can probably look in your bank and you may have some daily, weekly, and monthly D&D tokens. You can actually convert the daily and the weekly tokens into either weekly or monthly. And this is really useful. I like the monthly tokens the most. So you can convert 28 daily tokens into 1 monthly token and 4 weekly tokens into 1 monthly token. And I like using these on the Giant Oyster, which is actually tip number 13. And the Giant Oyster is a monthly D&D that allows you to gain some free fishing XP. It's quite a bit, 200k at 99 fishing. And then also you get a free clue scroll reward. So the only requirement for actually doing this D&D is having the Beneath Cursed Tides quest completed. It is a free-to-play quest, so most of you guys probably have it done. But if you don't, make sure you do it, because you'll get a free clue scroll reward every month and also a few 100,000 fishing XP every month. So definitely one of the best D&Ds in the game, at least in my opinion. I always use my monthly D&D tokens on this minigame, just in hopes of getting a die out of the Giant Oyster someday. Tip number 14 is toggling your daily challenges. So if you do have 99 in a skill, you can actually toggle that skill off so you won't get any daily challenges in that specific skill. This is really useful when you are going towards maxing or even 120 in some skills. That way you won't get any useless daily challenges and you'll only get the good ones, or at least the challenges in the skills that you have yet to max. And tip number 15 is additional action bars. So this, again, you can go to the combat setting in the settings and into the action bars, and you can actually add additional action bars. So as you can see, I have now 3 action bars. You can put tons of more abilities on it. This is really useful for some high-level PVM because you'll need more keybinds than just 1 action bar can fill. You'll need one for your defense abilities and also just prayers and stuff like that, switches. So having an extra action bar is really useful for stuff like that. Tip number 16 is Fury Sharks. So you may have obtained these from some wilderness creatures. And what this does, it actually allows you to save an extra item if you do happen to die. So this is a really useful item in the wilderness. It does have a cooldown of 1 minute. So you have 1 minute, and in that 1 minute, if you die, you'll actually keep an extra item. And tip number 17 is the Jack of Trades aura. So this is a really useful aura that you guys should probably buy if you're looking at grinding a certain skill. Essentially what it is, you need to gain XP in a certain number of skills depending on the tier of your Jack of Trades aura. Once you have completed this, you can talk to Xuan, which is located in Berthorpe, and you'll get a reward XP book. This can be done every day, so that makes it really good. And you can put it in any skill, so you can put it in some of those grindy skills like rune crafting, agility, herb lore, stuff like that. Really useful for Iron Men, So definitely check that out if you haven't already. And tip number 18 is converting your lucky charms. So the lucky charms are the charms for the elite dungeons. So if you have some lucky charms in a specific elite dungeon that you don't want to do, you can actually convert it to other elite dungeon charms. So for example, if I don't want to do the Temple of Amnesia, and I want to do the Dragonkin elite dungeon, I can actually convert them into those lucky charms. That way I'll actually be able to use them. And tip number 19 is attuning skilling portals. To be honest, this is one of the best tips in this video, in my opinion. So these skilling portals are located in the max guild, although you don't need to be maxed to access these. So you only need 199 to access one of these portals, and you can have a selection between all of these places, and it will instantly be able to teleport you to that location. And you will get 2 of these portals if you do have 1599. So if you only have 199, you'll get 1 portal. If you have 1599s, you will get 2 portals. And the really nice thing about this is that if you do have the Grace of the Elves necklace, these teleports will actually go on to your Grace of the Elves necklace. So that is really great because, for example, I put one on the Invention Guild and also the Deep Sea Fishing Hub. So now I can teleport straight to those spots just using my Grace of the Elves. So I don't actually need to go to the portal to actually teleport to these locations. And the Deep Sea Fishing Hub is a really great location to teleport to because the bank is directly in front of you as soon as you teleport. So that is really useful, basically for anything where you need to go to a bank really quickly. And tip number 20 is converting your proteins. So you may have just obtained a ton of random proteins through a treasure hunter. You can actually convert them into whichever protein you want at a 2-to-3 ratio. So what this is, if I want to convert 6 of these protein bars, for example, I will get 4 of any protein I want. So this is really useful if you're going for a specific skill, or maybe you have 99 in smithing and you want to get rid of your protein bars. You can definitely do that, and it is a pretty good idea. So anyway, guys, those are my 20 tips for 2020. And if you guys have any tips that I did not mention in this video that you want to share to the community, definitely comment them in the description down below. It'll be really interesting to see just a ton of more tips added to this video, and just it'll be able to help everyone out. So definitely do that if you have any that you do want to share. Anyway, guys, I really hope you did find this video helpful, and subscribe for more RuneScape 3 content. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.